Hello folks, so here we are. Today I want to speak about the eclipses that are coming up that will end this year. So let's speak about the first eclipse in the sign of Libra. If you've been following, you know that the eclipse axis has now shifted to the dynamic signs of Aries and Libra, right, which are also called the movable signs, the Jara Rashis, where things happen very quickly, and because they're changeable signs, we know that you will undergo some kind of pending transformation in these areas. So the drama, the unpredictability will impact areas where these signs fall in your chart. Yeah. So let's talk about October's solar eclipse. So the solar eclipse in October takes place in Libra on the 25th of October at approximately 11 a.m. UTC in the nakshatra of Swati at 7 degrees. Ketu will, of course, cause this eclipse, but it's going to be far enough from the eclipse. It's going to be 12 degrees away, but it's just newly entered into Swati. Yeah. So, strong enough to make an impact. Venus is caught in this eclipse. It's 1 degree away, also in Swati, and completely and fully combust at this time. So as we know, with all the new moon cycles, the moon is the darkest, right? It's just turning from waning to waxing. So for this reason, Amavasya is considered to be a good time for reflection, for going inward, for introspection. And I want to just take a pause here with and this is something that of course I've spoken about many times, about, like, you know, how to handle eclipse energy, the times surrounding the eclipses, a few days before, a few days after. Of course, because it's Amavasya, because it's a new moon cycle, going inward is very important. And this is important to explain also, because to really understand this, you also have to see the astronomical, not the astrological, but the astronomical dynamics, right? So what is a solar eclipse? A solar eclipse happens when the moon passes between the Earth and the Sun, obscuring Earth's view of the Sun. Yes? So essentially, we are being deprived of light because of the Sun being blocked. And the moon is closest to the plane of the Earth's orbit, thereby casting a shadow over Earth. From our perspective, the moon is completely dark at this time. And so when we go inward, because it's a new moon cycle, because it's completely dark, when we go inward, we're essentially disconnecting ourselves with the external world. Thereby, we're connecting with our mind, which is personified by the moon, and our soul, which is personified by the sun. So this detachment becomes necessary because we're not getting the light from the external world as we normally would, right? From the luminaries. the sun and the moon. So this can cause confusion. Now, often we say, you've heard many astrologers say this, and I've also said this, refrain from making decisions because new information may present itself around the days surrounding the eclipse. Of course, many times this is not possible because we need to take action. Right? This is doubly true if you're in a nodal dasha period. Like if you're going through Rahu Ketu period, you are sometimes pushed to the wall, pushed to take action. So it can't be helped because of outside circumstances. So we can surrender, obviously. But when you practice disconnecting and thereby detaching, then all you can do really is understand what you need to do or not do. Right? What action you need to take and what action you can refrain from taking. So it gives you a little bit of discernment and perhaps restraint. It doesn't mean that the situation will disappear or the circumstances will just dissolve. You still may be pushed to take action, but it just gives you a little bit of reflection when you take that action. I mean, you still have to surrender to the outcome, obviously, and that's with any eclipse cycle. And again, you are more so affected if you are in the nodal dasha, right? And not just Rahu Ketu dashas, but also look at the antardashas, right? You may be in Mercury, but you're in Rahu's antardasha. I mean, that's still impactful. Anyway, let's get back to the solar eclipse. I just wanted to digress, but we'll talk more now with this October solar eclipse. So in this particular eclipse, if we want to understand what to expect here, we need to see the strength and the position of Venus as well as Rahu. Venus, why? Because it's the ruling planet of Libra, where the eclipse is taking place. And Rahu, because it's the controlling planet of Swati, where the eclipse is taking place. Here we have a Parivartan yoga happening between Rahu and Venus, an exchange, because they're sitting in each other's nakshatra. Right, Rahu being in Bharani at this time. Now, Libra it's the natural 7th house of the zodiac, signifying relationships, signifying contracts. So we can expect that relationships will feature highly during the days surrounding the eclipse. This is especially true because of the Venus and Rahu exchange. Right? It makes those two energies even more potent because they're in an exchange. So this time can bring some passionate attractions where you will want to act immediately and think later. But you may not be seeing the person clearly, or you may not be getting all the information that you need to make a decision about this person. Yeah, Venus and Moon are both weak at this time. But Mercury is strong. It's sitting in Virgo. It's in a Sampandha with Saturn. There's almost an exact trinal aspect happening, suggesting that through direct and open communication, you can gauge the situation more clearly. But you still may not be getting all the information. Venus and Rahu in 1-7 from each other suggests that there also will be some negotiations happening right now. It could be connected to business dealings. Also, I mean, it could be connected to contracts. So make sure you have someone looking at contracts and agreements more closely at this time. It could have obviously be connected to one-on-one relationships like we spoke about. Now, because Venus is between Sun and Ketu, the impulse to think of yourself will be greater at this time than the other person. And the other person could be anyone. Like, it could be someone you're having a negotiation with. It could be your obviously it could be your relationship partner, right? It's that 1-7 axis. It could be your business partner also. And because Venus is combust, this can also suggest that in business or signing contracts, you would be spending a lot of money at this time. When Venus is combust and impacting your chart, like it could be sitting in the money houses, right? Like 2-11. And then you may be spending a lot of money. Your expenses may increase. Ketu has, as I mentioned, just entered Swati. So it's also connecting with Rahu at this eclipse. So Rahu energy being so predominant, selfish desires and motives may prevail in relationships at this time. Yeah. You may not be getting the full picture. So wait till after the November eclipse to make final conclusions about people. The masks may come off by then. With a weak Sun and a strong Saturn aspecting, I think there will be a lot of time and energy given to one-on-one connections at this time. Saturn is the only planet that aspects this eclipse, and Saturn would have just gone direct on October the 23rd. So it tells us that you're ready to take action and move forward after the reflection that you would have undergone during that Saturn retrograde period. As usual, see what Saturn signifies in your chart to understand where you will be impacted and where to take action. With relationships from the past, you could now see some resolutions. Saturn is aspecting Libra, a sign where it gets exalted. So the conclusions that you may come to regarding past relationships will be reliable ones, will be sound conclusions. It can also mark a time when you will confront and deal with uncomfortable relationship matters. But your emotions may feel scattered and anxious at this time because so many planets are situated in Swati. Again, connecting to Rahu. With an exalted Mercury connecting with Saturn, you would be in good position to deal with the truths and the facts that surface at this time. Yeah. Mars from Gemini is, however, aspecting Mercury and Saturn. So take your time with the details and the facts that emerge now. Yeah. New pathways for growth will open up depending on where Aries and Libra fall in your chart. So you could see some new beginnings there. And helpful and supportive people could also come your way to aid your path, this new path. It could be friends or siblings that offer support now. It's a good time for making connections and even for travel because Swati is so energized now. Many people will be ready to start a new phase of life, a new chapter. Of course, this eclipse directly impacts Aries and Libra, but also those who have personal planets close to the eclipse degree. So as usual, if you have a planet in Parani, or if you have a planet in Swati, then that area of your life will be activated and you could see a new opening, a new beginning. So for instance, if you have Venus there, it impacts relationships. If you have Moon there, it impacts your domestic situation. If you have Sun there, it impacts your life path or your image. You also have to see the lordship of the planet that is falling in one of those nakshatras. This eclipse falls into the first pada of Swati, which is Sagittarius, Navamsha, suggesting potential for growth. It may though lead to feelings of restlessness because we're talking about Sagittarius, but it indicates a good time to travel. And again, a new path opening up because it is Sagittarius. It's also a good time to connect with your father, or your guru, or your advisor, or your counselor, or your lawyer to seek advice of some sort. It's a good time to start a new education endeavor, take a trip abroad, learn about new cultures. And keep an open mind with communications, especially written ones. Yeah. So let's talk about Swati, where the eclipse takes place. Swati supports the following activities. It supports business activities, starting educational path of some educational endeavor of some kind, social and public events, mediation and diplomacy, breathing exercises, especially pranayama, right? Because it connects with Rahu. Swati's deity is Vayu, god of wind, so change can happen very quickly now. Swati also has an independent streak, but it shows a lot of flexibility too, so there's room to maneuver with whatever you're doing at this time. But watch for indecisiveness, right? Watch for indecisiveness, but it can be managed through that trinal aspect between Mercury and Saturn, which supports good decision making at this time. The changes you would make would be big ones and would have lasting impact with Saturn's aspect on Swati. And of course, as usual, eclipses bring swift and sudden events, especially if they're in movable signs like Aries and Libra. Right? And even further for this one, because it's in Swati. So see where Libra falls from your moon and from your ascendant to get a clue. It is here that you will see the changes manifest. I made remedies videos on each planet, and for the eclipses, the best remedial measures you can take is to strengthen the moon. This can include simple things like keeping a light schedule 1 week before and after an eclipse, drinking lots of water, doing pranayama, doing meditation, spending more time with family, spending more time at home. But as we talked about, I mean, it's difficult to plan during eclipse times, even, because whatever you do plan might just instantly fall apart. So you can take a passive approach and keep your schedule light, or you can surrender to what's coming your way. Especially with this eclipse, you might feel quite restless and tempted to take action. Yeah. So that's all for now. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, and share button. Thank you, folks. All the best.